In this video, we're going to cover the basics of addition. Now, when we started adding things, it started out with something like, oh, look, hey, we have 2 sheep and we're going to add 4 sheep to it. And what do we get? Hey, that's 2 plus 4 is 6 sheep. Ah, good deal. Now, you do something similar and you have 2 penguins plus 5 penguins. Good. And that's going to be, 7 penguins. And then you run into something like this. What if you had 2 sheep plus 5 penguins? If you have that, you're like, oh no. You can't do anything with it. Bzzzt, thanks for playing. 2 sheep plus 5 penguins is exactly 2 sheep plus 5 penguins. You'll have some smart aleck at some point say, 2 sheep plus 5 penguins is 7 animals. Notice what the guy actually did. He said, wait a second, we can also call sheep animals, and we can call penguins animals. Good heavens, he could have used vertebrates for those labels, those names right there. Anyway, he did this in his head, and he made them the same before he could equal it to be 7 animals. This is a cardinal rule of addition that you always have to follow. You must always, always, always only add like things. That is imperative. So let's look at how this works. When we have a number, something like 2,374 plus 423, you guys have seen this before. You stack this guy down here for some reason, 423, and somehow that makes it easier. Well, let's look at exactly what's going on. This number is really 2 thousands. That's what that number 2 means in that place. There are 2 thousands going on, and there are 3 hundreds, and there are 7 tens, and there are 4 ones. And we're going to somehow add to that anywhere around here. We're going to add this 423, which is 4 hundreds plus 2 tens plus 3 ones. Now you'll notice I didn't line them up right. But this rule up here where you have to add like things, oh man, is that important. It forces us to do this lining up thing. These hundreds, they're like the penguins up there. They can only add with other penguins. You can't add sheep and penguins. 2 thousands plus 4 hundreds doesn't give you 6 anything. It's the 300s and the 400s that add up to 700s. And that's what happens here. We have 4 ones and 3 ones. Well, look at that. That adds up to 7 ones. 7 tens and 2 tens adds up to 9 tens. 3 hundreds plus 4 hundreds is 7 hundreds. And 2 thousands plus nothing, that's 2 thousands. And that is where we get the idea that we line these guys up in columns so we can add them easily. Let's look at another problem really quick. Let's do something like 32.46. Now remember, this is 3 tens, 2 ones, 4 tenths, and 6 hundredths. And we're going to add to that 5.137. Now if we do this problem correctly, some of you may be tempted to say, hey, there are 4 numbers. There are 4 numbers here. Let's do 5.137. And you start saying, 6 and 7 and 4 and 3. And you're like, whoa, 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 stop. This is where we have a problem. Notice right here that the 3 is in the hundredths column, and you're trying to add him to the 4 in the tenths column. That's as ridiculous as trying to add sheep and penguins. Here we have 3 tens and 5 ones. 3 tens and 5 ones, that's like saying 3 chickens and 5 calculators. They're not even the same animal there. So we got to back up. And the thing that lines everything up, that gives it its place, is the decimal. There was actually a decimal that we took and lined up right here so that all of these columns would line up correctly. And so we have here, when we put this 5.137 right there, now they're up in the columns. We have the thousands with the thousands. Well, this guy doesn't have any thousands. If you want to, go ahead and put the 0 there. That may help some of you. That's all right. So we do this, and we say, okay, 0 plus 7, that's 7 in the thousandths place. So that means 0 thousandths, 7 thousandths, 7 thousandths. That means our decimal has to come right straight down. It doesn't move because that maintains everything in the right column. 6 plus 3, that's 9 hundredths. 4 tenths plus 1 tenth, that's 5 in the tenths column. Let me label these up here so we can see it. That's the tenths column, and this is the hundredths column. This is the thousandths column, and that's where we get to line up the decimal. And then the ones and the tens. 2 plus 5 is 7, and 3 plus 0 is 3. 37.597. So in decimals, this is your cardinal rule. This is what adding like things means. Line up the decimal. You must, in order to make sure that you add like things. Absolutely crucial there. Let's try a couple more examples. All right, here we go with 573.24 plus 21.62. You think, that looks good. No, that looks terrible. What are you thinking? We got to line up those decimals. You're exactly right. 573.24 plus 21.62. And this will help you. 4 plus 2 is 6. Good. Look, 6 stays in the hundredths column. Decimal comes straight down. 2 plus 6 is 8. 3 plus 1 is 4. 7 plus 2 is 9. And 5. And there we go. As long as everything is lined up by this decimal point. All right, now we get to the point. We haven't carried it all. You always hear this phrase, ooh, carry the one. Have you ever wondered where that came from, why it works? Well, this is kind of how it works. When you have something like a dime, let's do those. Here's a little tenth. I'm not going to put them all in there, but this is a tenth. So if I have a dime and another dime and another dime, and I add them together, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 cents. So a tenth, we now have 8 tenths, 9 tenths, 10 tenths. As soon as you get 10 of them put together, it makes a whole one. Look at that thing. And that's the idea, that 11 is really, you take these and make these all 1, and then you start over, and there's now 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. As soon as you get 20, you now have a whole one of them. And so that idea is where carrying the one actually comes from. If we start off with something like 2.8 plus 4.5, and we line these up, this is exactly right. We have 8 tenths plus 5 tenths, and in really slow motion, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we're going to add to that 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you'll notice that what we just did here, those 8 and the 5, this became 13, but 10 of them were a whole other 1, and then we have 3 tenths. So it's really 1 and 3 tenths. So there we have the 3 tenths and an extra 1 in the ones column. 1 plus 2 plus 4, that's 7. And there we have the carrying of the 1. We actually had 13, and we subtracted 10 of them, which made 1, which went up on top. Now, nobody ever does it this way because they're like, oh, just carry the 1. But it's not like we cut the number in half and put the 1 up on top and the 3 down below. We actually took 10 of the 13 and kind of exchanged it, took it to the bank, and handed in 10 tenths and got $1 out. Handed in another 10 tenths and got $1 out. Let's try another one. Here we have 39.68 plus 45.71. Let's try this one. 8 hundredths plus 100, that's 9 hundredths. That's not so bad. Now 6 tenths plus 7 tenths is 13 tenths. So we really have 13 little tenths here, but we can't have 13 tenths. So we take 10 of them away and put it up as a 1 up on the top. So let's back out. That looks really ridiculous there. And that's where we get the carry the 1. It's actually 10 out of these 13 exchanging for one more 1. 1 plus 9 is 10, plus 5 is 15. And again, 15 ones, that's 5 ones. And then we take 10 of them out of that 15, and we put it in, and it makes another whole 10. And so there we have 1 plus 3 plus 4 is 8, 85.39. All right, let's do the last one here. 8.259 plus 17.48. Now, 9 thousandths plus 0 thousandths, because there aren't any here, that's just 9. That's good. 5 plus 8 is 13. That's 10 of them. Go and make this. Now notice, at every single stage, 10 hundredths make a tenth, 10 tenths make a 1, 10 ones make a 10, 10 tens make a 100, and it goes all the way along. Every time we get 10 of them, we can subtract 10, which is really easy to do. 13 minus 10 just leaves 3. And then we get to add the others. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 4 is 7. 8 plus 7 is 15, so that's 5. And carry 10 of those to make a 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, 25.39. And while we've got you here, I want to note this. Everything works in tens with decimals because, look at this word. This is a suffix meaning mark or point or symbol, and this guy means 10 or tenth. That's why each thing is broken up into little 10 pieces when you're doing decimals. Everything in our numbering system with decimals is with 10. 10 of these make the next one, and that's where we carry the 1 from. Good luck with addition.